All right, Coach Ron Maver, First Mile Sucks, back on the show. Thanks for doing this, man. I just wanted to catch up with you. How you been?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you. I appreciate it so much that you give me this platform, and I can't thank you enough. And as I said to you, just a couple of minutes ago, I'm honored to do it. So thank you very much.
Of course, you're a cool dude, and I just wanted to talk running with you and shoot the breeze a little bit. I think, if I remember right, the last time I talked to you was after your first 100, and that was like a year ago. And you've done like 300 since then.
Yeah, so it's almost exactly a year. In fact, it just came up. So yeah, since then I've done three more. I did Delirium, which was a 24-hour race here in South Carolina. I think it's a 1.2 mile loop.
Oh no, I've done that.
So I did that. I did that was in November. I did Long Haul 100 in January down in Florida, which was great. And then in June, I did Hellhole 100 here in South Carolina, which was a tough one. Obviously, they're all tough. And then I did a 50-mile virtual run for Bigger Than the Trail, which is a mental health advocacy group I work with. So
I love.
I did theirs. Yeah, they were awesome.
Get involved, yeah, for sure.
They were awesome. So this was my first year as an ambassador with them. So I did a 50-miler virtual with them. I had a bunch of buddies down here help me out with that, join in. And then just to go through my schedule, I attempted Barclays Fall Classic. I had my first DNF at Barclays Fall Classic. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I did Bronze Dragonfly in Savannah, which was a 12-hour run. I was able to get almost 59 in, 58 and some change.
Nice.
So that was my year. I was just saying to my wife, I'm going to take the rest of 2020 off, not off, but just off of racing, and come back strong at Farm Days in February at 2021.
Okay. And is that going to be that's another 24-hour event? Are you?
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, it's a 24-hour event. Get as many as you can. It's. I was just looking at it on Ultra Sign Up. It's a strong field. We have, the one thing I really want to talk about is down here in, South Carolina, Georgia, like Savannah, they call it the Low Country. And I just want to thank like all the runners down here that they've really embraced me over the last year and made me feel like part of the community. And everyone's so nice. And there's actually some strong runners down here. I know we get a bad rap because of the flat land. But the heat acclimation helps out a little bit. So there's a bunch of guys down there I'm looking forward to running with. And, I just want to put out how great everyone's been to me down here.
That's cool. How'd you meet these guys?
So it's a long story. It's a spider web of events. The first guy I met was somebody who lived in my neighborhood. He said, you should get together with Tim Waz. And he owns Grounded Running in Beaufort. And if you look him up, he's done some amazing stuff. He did, I think he got a fun run done at the Big Barclays, at least 2 loops. He's done a bunch of FKTs. He's a great guy. He's a deadhead. I'm a deadhead. Nice. So I went up to the store. I started talking to him, and we hit it off right away. He's just a great guy, a beast of a runner. So he's like, you should talk to this other guy, Ronald Vargas, who lives on the island. You should run with him. So I called him up. He's 55, I think now. He's my running buddy, and he's a beast too. He's really strong runner. He's only been running maybe 4 or 5 years now, and we ran together and we hit it off. And then he introduced me to somebody else, who introduced me to somebody else, and then through having First Mile Sucks and doing the races with everybody, I kind of just became a little bit, known in the circles, and, everybody's just open arms and makes you feel welcome. So it's, I feel really good and really home down here, just being part of that community.
Cool. Yeah. Community is the key word there. And the running community is just something else, right?
Yeah. And, for me, it was always something different. I did a lot of my training up north all by myself, and I was really like a solitary runner, and it was on my own accord. I never put myself out there to become part of the community. And then when I started running with people, I realized how much I was missing. And I was like, oh man, this is great. It's, the miles are easier. You just, sometimes you don't even have to talk, but you're just out there on the trail, and it goes a long way, way longer than I thought it would.
Yeah. No kidding, man. Running with people is, it makes the time go faster. You're having a conversation. Next thing you know, oh, we just did 9 miles, and it just feels like we just started. And man, it's cool to have those people. It's fun to run with people that are better than you because they push you, but it's also fun to run with people that are slower than you because, you need a rest day once in a while, or it's good to just hang back and chat. But yeah, I like going out with people of all different skills, abilities, levels.
Yeah, we have that. First off, there's no egos. Everybody is just chill, but there's definitely guys that are way faster than me. And then there's guys that are slower, and just we kind of find it a common ground and push each other and go through that type of running and just mix it up, and everybody kind of gets together as a group. But of course, listen, there's still runs where you do solo, but it's like you said, you're never going to get better with just running by yourself or staying in your comfort zone. Like if I'm looking, there's a saying, I forget who it was. Somebody was like, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room. And that means that I've surrounded myself with people that I can learn with. So I want to be, the slowest guy in the room and just soak up as much knowledge as I can.
Yeah. And it's just such a good resource for pooling information. When I go run with people, I hear of races I've never heard of, and people are talking about this running gear that I've never heard of. And it's just cool, different perspectives to sort of pool together. But I'm a solo runner for the most part too, man. I mean, I do most of my training by myself, but then when I do run with people, it's a treat, man. And like I said, it just goes by so fast. Like, whoa, I can't believe we just banged out double-digit numbers there. It seems like we just started.
Yeah, and it's just it's a way for it sounds so cliche and so cheesy, but it's a way to really get to know people. And my God, you feel like if the whole world ran, it would be so much better. I mean, just my little group down here, we had a guy run virtual Boston a couple of weeks ago, and just within that group, you had, as I mentioned, Ronald Vargas, who's a guy who was born and raised in Costa Rica, who's 55 years old. Myself, who never ran, I played soccer growing up. Another guy, Tony, who ran cross country in college, is still fast as hell. One guy's a physical therapist. Somebody else is a photographer. Somebody else owns a sailing company down here and is an entrepreneur. I mean, you would never get the 6 of us in a room together anywhere else, but somehow we formed this bond and friendship that goes beyond running now. And that's really like the great thing about it.
Yeah, that's the best, man. Just making new friends, finding people, like you said, you wouldn't normally be in a room with, but you have this common bond, common thread. And people take different avenues to find that, right, in life. Like you can get into different sorts of sports or different hobbies, and running just happens to be ours. And this is our weird little avenue where we meet our cool, weird little friends, and it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And, in many ways, I'm so thankful for running and the positive impact it's had on my life, and how even keel it's made me, and what it's done for me, that I'm forever grateful to it. I have such respect and reverence for it that I love being able to share that with other people.
Well, let's get into that. I know we talked about it a little bit the last time you were on the show, but as a refresher, like what has running done for you?
It's given me the confidence to come out. I mean, I know I talked about it last time in terms of mental health and anxiety and the issues I dealt with. The only thing that's ever really calmed the voices or just mellowed me out is just some good miles out on the trail. And I think what it does is it really gives you the tools of not only problem solving, but it makes you uncomfortable in a sense that if you can conquer that, then you kind of get over stuff in your everyday life. Like, stupid things that may have caused you to be anxious before or caused you to have self-doubt. When you come out and you realize, like, listen, I just got done running, 100 miles through the woods somewhere. there's nothing that's going to stop me. There's nothing that I can't deal with. There's nothing that I can't solve. And running really forces you to do that. You know, when you're, especially ultra running, when you're on, you know, in the middle of nowhere, 15 miles from an aid station or 15 miles from any help, like it's time to, you know, buckle up. You got to toughen up and you have to get the job done. And the only way you do that is by putting one foot in front of the other. And if you can do that out there, you can do that in everyday life. And lessons like that are invaluable. You never lose that. You know that you've pushed yourself beyond. You know you've pushed through every doubt that you've ever had. So that just gives you a skill set, I think, that is unparalleled. That people who haven't done it, doesn't make you better than them. It just means that you have a certain skill set and you can deal with a certain amount of pain. And when that applies itself to everyday life, you realize you can just get through it.
Yeah, it gives you the tools to take care of everyday life, like you said. Like, just like being tired, not wanting to do something. I mean, you live several lives in the midst of an ultra marathon. Like you run 100 miles, and I don't know about you, but I find myself thinking about friends I had in elementary school and just the craziest things from out my whole life. And it's like it's a way to sort of put those pieces together in a way so that it's just easier to deal with life, right? I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but it's something like that.
Yeah, you're right on. And after I ran, you know, I've learned so much of what to do and what not to do. But after I ran Yeti last year, I wrote a blog on my site and I talked exactly about that. Like people often ask what you think about, and I'm like, you have no control over it. And I wrote this blog and I'm like, you think about every fuck up that you've ever had in life, every mistake that you've made, you overanalyze it. Then I thought about the school nurse from my elementary school. Whatever happened to her? What about the crossing guard? Is she still alive? Then I was like, and these thoughts all went through my head. Then it went on to a documentary on gangs I watched on HBO 15 years ago in DC. And I'm like, I wonder if that guy straightened himself out or what happened. And then, you know, those thoughts coming through your head. And then, as I said in the beginning, you think about every mistake you've ever made, you know, all your mess ups, that all comes crashing down on you. And then you process through that. And it's just this whole, the best way I can explain it is I told, you know, somebody asked me if I get bored running in circles when I do something like a 24-hour. And I'm like, no, because I'm not even in this world. Mm-hmm. I'm in like an alternate universe that I'm here, but I'm not here. Right. And that's the way it happens. And to me, it's the closest thing to being like having total consciousness, where you're just in the moment, you're living every second of your life and you're embracing every second and you're just free flowing. It's the best way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beautiful place to be in too. Like there's something comforting about that place. When you're not in that place, you look at it and kind of long for it. Like, I wonder when my next race is. It's a beautiful place. And, you know, people can get into that place running marathons, for instance, or half marathons, if that's their thing. But once you push yourself into the longer distances, you just experience that for that much longer. Like, you know, like a runner's high usually lasts me a couple of days after a 100-mile race. And there's usually kind of a crash that comes after that as well.
Yeah. And I think that's why I ran so many races this past year was just riding that high. Yeah. And like you said, you get a certain element of it with a marathon, but there's something that happens when you're getting 50, 60, 70 miles in and you're pitch black except for your headlamp. And, you know you're going places that very few people have gone on Earth, especially like, so when I did Hellhole 100, it's an 18-mile loop, and then it's a 16-mile loop in like the middle of nowhere outside of Charleston, South Carolina. It's in like a swampy, I think it's a horse, I have some horse trails there, and they did a 212 miler, 147 miler, 100 miler, like a nighttime 50K. So at certain points, there's a bunch of people on the trail, and then all of a sudden there's nobody. So, you know, and you're in the middle of nowhere and it's dark, and you you find yourself out there.
Yeah.
I went, with the exception of aid station workers and my wife who was crewing me, I think I went 8 hours without seeing anybody.
Wow.
And you know what, if you can make it through that, then you can make it through a day of everyday life. There's something special that happens to you out there.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, you're right. You really get to know yourself on a deep level, spiritual level, like a intimate, you face all those things that are uncomfortable and the things you don't necessarily like to think about. And yeah, it's like a psychedelic journey almost. And then it's daylight, and then you come out and you're like, wow, I see the world as sort of this new place. Like things look just a tiny bit different now that I did that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's bragging, but it's really not. It's more internal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain pride knowing that you're willing to go distances that, you're talking, I don't know, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but probably less than 2% of the population in the world has ever gone those distances. And,
right.
You talk to yourself about that and you realize it. And, you don't come out the same person.
Yeah.
And every race is different, and you just don't come out. And as high as those highs are, you love them. And then, I'll be honest, just to go on the other side of it to show that it's not all happy and balloons and everything. The same goes through when you don't get the job done. And, as I said, I just got done attempting Barkley's Fall Classic, and I didn't get the job done. And that ate away at me. That really bothered me. And it wasn't until I got done with Bronze Dragonfly, the 12-hour, that I kind of came back a little bit, because it rocked me that I had a DNF.
Yeah. So that was like a redemption race almost.
Yeah, mentally I had to do it and prove that I can still get the job done.
Hell yeah. So what was your fate at Barkley? Like what happened? How bad did it get? I know it's a gnarly race. Probably most listeners know it's a gnarly race. But tell us about your experience.
Yeah, it was, everybody's seen the documentary. Everybody sees what it is. And, I know you're not supposed to get into super specifics, but without getting, when you see those hills that we all know, and they talk about, a rat jaw, that type of thing, they're way bigger than you think they are. They're way steeper than you think they are. It started off, I felt good. I actually had, and I spoke with Laz for a few minutes the day before, and he was honest. He said, you want to bank as much time as you can in the first 10 miles. And that, the first 10 miles, you are runnable, you can do. The next 10 miles, you're going to feel like you feel like you're going to die. And then the last 10 miles, you're going to wish you were dead. So he was honest with me. I felt good. I had like 2.5 hours in the bank at the first cutoff, which I felt good with. And then the rain started, and it just poured. It just downpoured all day, and I had a hard time keeping food in. I couldn't eat anything. The only thing I could keep down was gels and Gatorade. So I knew it was going to be tough. It was a race against time, and then going up and down the off trail stuff in the mud. It was so hard that you exerted so much energy to get done, to get through it. So I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Other people have done it. So this year was a half a loop up rat jaw, and then a full one later on in the race. And on the second time up, I kind of just ran out of gas. My body shut down. I started shaking. I guess I was like maybe 10 hours into it at that point. I hadn't eaten anything. And I was taking 3 steps up, sliding down, 2 steps, going 3 steps up. There was nothing left to grab. And it was in mud. People had been through it once already. And now you're talking just basically like a slip and slide. So that was it, man. I've been in enough tough spots to know when it's going to happen and when it's not. And this time, my legs started shaking. Everything was quivering. I tried taking another step. My legs weren't really working. And that was it. That was the end of my day.
Yeah.
And, credit to anyone who finished it. I know I want to say like a little less than half finished it, maybe a third. Kudos to them. And, it just no excuses. It wasn't my day. And it rocked me to my core.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about that. How it rocked you to your core. Like, and I don't want to just focus on the negative stuff here. We'll talk about your accomplishments too, but I'm interested in this. Like, what do you personally go through after a DNF? And like, you said you bounced back and had sort of a redemption race, but yeah, what's that process like for you?
It was tough. I had to, I couldn't make it up anymore the hill. I tried going up and I couldn't make it. So the only way I could get out of there was to go down. And I was almost at the top, which really sucked. But I couldn't take another step up. But going down, I was all right. So I went down, and you have to wait for the bus. You have to take a bus back to the start. And there was not begrudging people. It's just the way I dealt with it. There was other people on the bus, and they were fine getting to that point. They were like having a couple of laughs and everything. And I had a hard time keeping it together. All I could do on that bus was just to not like break down and cry. I did everything I could to hold it together. I couldn't get back to the starting line fast enough. And then I saw my wife. I got out of the bus. I saw my wife, and I just lost it. Yep. I started bawling, and I felt like I'd let her down. I felt like I'd let my kids down. Like I felt like I'd let everyone down that had sacrificed for me to get there. And listen, it was tough. I found out. So the race was on Saturday. I found out on Monday that I got in. I came off the wait list, and I didn't know how many chances I would have to do it. So I jumped in. It was too good of a chance to turn down. Totally. But I felt like I let everyone around me down, and that was a tough feeling. I let myself down. So that was tough to process. And then when I got done, my wife, I was like on the ground like a baby. And my wife got me up, and we started walking. I was like, I'm never fucking coming back here again. So we went, she's like, do you want to just go back to the hotel and get some food? And I was like, no, we were about a half hour from Knoxville. So I think Frozen Head altogether, it might be an hour from Knoxville. Our hotel was like a half hour. So I said, no, we went back and we got dressed, and I was like, no, we'll go out to dinner. So we went out to dinner. We had a good night. And then that was okay. Then the next day, like, as you have time to think about it, you just, you wonder if you could have taken another step, if you had just waited 10 minutes.
Right. Could
you have done it? You second guess yourself, and then you go back to, I'm going back there. I'm not going back. I'm going back. And then it's so funny. Like on I guess race was on Saturday. So like a Monday, or I think it was Monday, I started itching. And then the poison ivy kicked in.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they say, I guess the joke is you'll leave there with three things: tired legs, ground hornet stings, and poison ivy. So I left with all three. Oh, and when I had it from like my shoulder down to my wrist on both arms, and then the legs from like the back of the knees all the way down. And that's when I was like, I'm not going back again. So I still go back and forth whether or not I'll go back. But I think, to get to your initial question, it's more about these races are not easy when you have a family, and it involves, my in-laws or my mom and my stepfather watching my kids, take them to soccer practice. It involves, hotels, traveling. My wife's, being out there for me. She's so supportive. I couldn't do it without her. So all these people rely on you, and I've always been able to dig through and find the motivation to get through. And I just couldn't do it this time. And I just felt like I let everyone down. And that weighed on me. I didn't sleep for like a week when I came home. I couldn't sleep at night. I just couldn't. That was the biggest thing. It wasn't even about an ego thing. It was about disappointing the people that, love and support me.
Yeah. But they love and support you. They recognize like you can't just go out and do anything with hardly any training. It sounds like you signed up for this super last minute, and they're supportive, I've not finished races before, and yeah, it's a shitty feeling, but in my experience, most of your friends and family realize that you're out doing these insane things that most people can't do or don't want to do. And, the success rate isn't 100%. You're going to have some DNFs. You're going to have some, you're not going to be able to finish them all.
Yeah. And like you said, everyone's just so proud of you that, and they say that, and you realize it. And looking back on it now, it was a good learning experience. You kind of, and I don't know if I would have had the mental fortitude, say 2-3 years ago, to come back from that. Where this time, it took me a week or so, but I'm in a better place to where I can be like, all right, now it's, enough, feeling sorry for yourself, get out, start running again, start getting some races in, and, start doing what you love again.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you, man. That's the right attitude. You just got to bounce back. It's just, it's all part of the journey, So what about your other 300s this year? Which one was the toughest? What were they like?
So, each one I think presents its own difficulties. Like I said, Delirium was just running in circles, but I gotta be honest, I had a great time at that race. Hit maybe like a low patch in the 60s, but other than that, I was cruising. In fact, I felt really strong at the end. It was just one of those things, like everything went perfect. It was warm during the day, but I was patient, and hydration, I was able to take food in. I kind of learned that I have a hard time eating like real food. I keep it basically like finger sized food now. Cheese and crackers, like pepperoni, I do well with on a cracker. Pudding, watermelon, potato chips. If I keep it simple like that, I'm good. I'm not like a slam down cheeseburger kind of guy.
Right. Yeah.
So if I keep it bite size, I'm good. So Delirium, I was good at. Actually, Delirium and Long Haul, which was in January, I felt strong at. I think I finished third at Delirium, and then I finished second. No, excuse me, like 17th or 18th at Long Haul. And that was in January in Florida, so perfect weather. Again, I was in a good groove because I had done Yeti September, Delirium November, and then Long Haul in January.
Okay.
That was good. And then, so probably the toughest one would be Hellhole 100, which lived up to its name. It's June in South Carolina. It's in a swamp.
Hot, humid.
Yeah, we had a real hot day. I came close to dropping at 25 in. It was hot, and I just pushed through and got it done. I think so. It's a smaller race. I think 32 of us started the 100 mile distance, and I think 7 of us finished it.
Wow.
So there's maybe like 2 miles of it, the last 2 miles of the loop, that's hard to run. You're almost knee deep in mud. You kind of have to trudge through it. And apparently that was the driest the course has ever been. A lot of times it's just knee deep water you're going through. Yeah. So that was a hard race. Like I said, it was real hot during the day. It was super lonely at night. You couldn't find anyone to really get you through those tough times. There was no one to talk with. It's really buggy. In fact, Chad, the guy who runs it at the beginning of races, tells you, put up your thumb. And he's like, that's not for a thumbs up. Just that's to give you an idea how big the horse flies are out there.
Oh, no.
So it's one of those, it gives you like a little bit of everything. So I would say that was probably, everyone presents their own challenges, but for me personally, that was probably the hardest one I had.
Yeah. Would you go back and do it again?
Yeah, I think I would go back again. I don't know if it would be this year, but I'll definitely go back. I would do more races that he puts on. It definitely tests you. I don't know if maybe go longer next time.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, man. It looks like you're still doing your motivational Monday things on Instagram, and it looks like your business is booming. So I want to talk about that too. How is First Mile Sucks going? Are you still coaching people? What's going on with you?
Yeah, no, it's going good. it's a grind, as you know. I always thought this would be like, my vision of this would be, it would be a slow growing business. It would be word of mouth. It would be, could be years in the making. It would be a labor of love. And it's growing the way I want it to. It is, it is through word of mouth. It's just staying consistent, using social media for positivity, using it as a platform to be able to speak to people, especially, I would have never had the courage to come out and speak about my own struggles with anxiety and depression. It's given me a platform to do that. I'm looking to do more public speaking as the world has opened up a little bit more. So it's been good. And the coaching's good too. I kind of reevaluated my system of doing it. I think I got a little too technical in the beginning and a little too what was trendy. And at the essence and the way I explain to people now, like at the core of me and who I am, it's just simple, like caveman, hard work, a lot of miles, a lot of sprints. And, I compare it like as a personal trainer. If you go into the gym, you have one guy who uses every elliptical and every piece of equipment that he can find. And then you have another guy who just has, a weight rack, a bench press, and some dumbbells. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy with the weight rack, the bench press, and the dumbbells. I found it, that's more true to my soul and more to the core of who I am, that it's just like, all right, let's go out, let's put the work in, let's forget about all fancy gadgets, everything, and let's just grind it out. I'm a grinder. That's what I am.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. And that's pretty much my coaching approach as well. I have a couple clients that wanted me to get them on Training Peaks, and, I support all that stuff. I think it's fantastic, but yeah, I'm just that old fashioned guy that sends you an email. It's like this many miles this day, intervals this day, core work this day. And just good old fashioned hard work. That's it. There's nothing that beats that.
Yeah. And like you said, with the emails, like I've simplified it. I just give a monthly schedule and this is what it is. Like, we'll touch base, call me as much as you want, but the work is there. You just have to put in. I can give you every fancy thing you want, but in essence, all it comes down to is one foot in the front of the other, miles, and learning, especially for ultra running, running through pain, running through, self-doubt and pushing your limits and being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just experience too, like working through the little blister problems and working through the side aches and working through, you just come across all this stuff over a matter of time. And it takes a little bit of experience to really get to know your body.
Yeah. And I find like one thing is it's one thing to work with ultra runners by nature, even just speaking to us, you're kind of laid back and humbled. I found that people that are getting ready for a 10K or even a half marathon are always apologizing to me in the sense of like, oh, I don't run as far as you, or I'm only running, I know it's only 3 miles, or I can only run 6. And I'm always like, no, that's not it. That's like your 50 miler may be a 5K, and that's great. Like, never apologize for what you're doing. No, you'll get there if that's what you want. Like, I was at a 5K, and there's still a ton of people that will run a faster 5K than me. But sometimes people get intimidated by the miles you run, and they apologize. And I'm like, don't ever apologize. That's not who we are. It's not what I'm about. And I'm not really that special. I'm a middle of the pack guy. Like, there's no ego here. It's just helping you achieve what you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need those new people to keep this community going. And we were all new people at one time. I still recall my very first 10K and trained for my first half marathon like it was the biggest deal in the world. And I try and keep that close because I remember that feeling. And now, fortunately, I'm at a point where hopefully I can help other people sort of navigate through that as well. But yeah, no, I love when people are just training for their first 5 or 10K or first marathon. I think it's fantastic. I love working with those guys.
Yeah, and I think that comes from like an old school, like road running kind of vibe where it's, like, you're not my friend. I'm going out there and I'm gonna, and it's me against you and that's it. And I really find in the trail and especially the ultra running community, I mean, I've seen people slow up and sacrifice their own goals to help other people get to the finish line. And that's what I love about it. And I think that's lost on some people that are newer getting into the sport, is just how welcoming and how friendly people are and how much it's not about me versus you. I mean, listen, if you get into elite levels of Heat Hawks and Walmsley and guys that are winning races, it's a totally different thing. But for a guy who's like middle of the pack like me, it's not me versus you. It's us versus this course. Mm-hmm. Like we're all in this together. We're all going to help each other get to the finish line.
Yeah, totally. What else about your coaching? How else is it going otherwise? We got deviated there a little bit, but it looks like you're selling homes as well. So it sounds like you must be a busy guy if you're in real estate and you're running your business. What's life looking like for you on a day-to-day?
It's busy, but that's the way I like it. Yeah, I had so many passions I wanted to follow, and when I left the Opera House in New York, when I quit my job, I guess it'll be like almost 2 years, I guess now, coming up in August. I knew I didn't want to get tied down to a place again necessarily if I didn't have to. I wanted to be able to, stretch my legs and do things I love about. And in my essence, I'm really just a guy who likes talking to people. Mm-hmm. I love, yes, it's hard to get me to shut up, as you can tell from listening to this. And, real estate's something that kind of just seemed like it fit the profile right. And I was able to, I got my license and I spoke to somebody down here who recommended me in the right direction. And I went in and I spoke with a brokerage. It's called the Prudhomme team here on Hilton Head. And I spoke with the broker in charge, Dan Prudhomme, and I walked in and somehow he had heard about my running. So he had asked me about it and talked about it. And we didn't even talk real estate for an hour. We just talked running. He was enthusiastic about it. And I'm a big fan of Jesse Itzler. Yep. And he was too. And we really bonded over him. I just think he's amazing. He does amazing stuff. So we talked about him for a while, and then it was basically like, listen, if you're crazy enough to run 100 miles and determined enough to run 100 miles, you can come work for me, if you want. So I landed there, and it just seems like it gives you some freedom to, they're very supportive of my other endeavors. And like you said, like life is just busy between, I have 2 kids. My son plays travel soccer. My daughter plays tennis. So a lot of times we're not, I'll get up at 6 or so, go for a run, 8:30, get into work, do the real estate stuff, come home, do my coaching, do my, my plans, get all my orders together, take kids to practice. A lot of times we're eating dinner at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And we're in at, I'm in bed at 10:30, and then it's wake up and do it the next day. But to be honest with you, I've never been happier. Yeah, good. There was so many times in, to go back to the Opera House, that it was a good job and it was a good paying job, but I missed so much of my kids' lives that I never saw them. I would see them on Sunday and then maybe see them on Friday again. So, through all these learning experiences of doing that for 20 years, and then like, some people might look at things like, I don't want to take them to practice. Like, I love taking them to practice because I never got a chance to do it. So I make it a point to, as busy as I am, and this all comes with me just, I think I just turned 45 this past week. My birthday was Tuesday. Nice. And I think this all comes with, it took me 45 or 44 years, it really started last year, to really figure out who the hell I am and be comfortable enough with who I am and tell other people and share with the world of like, listen, this is who I am. if you don't like it, too bad. If you do like it, then great. Let's go for a ride. But, I'm going to spend the time here that I have to do the things I want to do with the people that I want to do it with, not with doing everything that somebody expects me to do or what people want me to do. And that all comes with maturity. And I think therapy has a good, something to do with it. And a lot of the running has to do with it. And I know this is a long-winded answer about selling real estate, but I do love that. But this is something, it all comes down to, I would have never had the balls to quit and go do real estate. And like, I wanted to do real estate. I would have always wondered, like, oh, well, what if I fail? What if that doesn't work? What if, what are people going to think of me? And then, I'm comfortable now. I'm going to go make it work. If it doesn't work, then you know what? I tried. And that all comes from running. That comes from, every time you toe the line at a 100-miler, there's 1,000 things that can go wrong, but you don't focus on that. You just focus on the things that you can control. Mm-hmm. And, I've come so far. I don't say it in a bragging way. I say it in a grateful way of being in such a shitty place and not knowing who I was and trying to make everyone else happy that every day now I'm just like, what am I going to do today to make, myself a better person? And it's just life is good right now for me. I'm happy, and it's just, I can't even put it into words. I just say it, I'm grateful to be where I am.
I am right there with you, brother. I am right in the same place. Yeah, man. So I think that we've both worked shitty jobs that we weren't necessarily real passionate about, I've worked a lot of manual labor jobs. I've worked a lot of overtime. I've done it all. I drank too much after work because I didn't really like my job and wasn't feeling fulfilled. And yeah, man, just being in a place where you can, I think it's like an Indiana Jones 3. I think it's like the third ones when Indiana Jones has to like take a step out onto the invisible bridge. And then when his foot touches where the bridge would be, then it finally appears and holds him. It almost feels like that. It's like you have to take a chance. And like once you quit the job and you start working towards your passion, the universe kind of comes in to support that. And little things start popping up and you start meeting the right people at the right time. And it, not every day is a good day, but it's a pretty magical place to be in. And like you said, gratitude is a huge part of that. Like if you can just sit down and really be in gratitude for 5 minutes, 5 minutes goes by pretty quick, but it's a long time when you're just sitting there trying to be thankful for all the things you have and the people in your life and the love in your life. But the more you do that, the more comes into your life. It's like the universe's secret. And yeah, same here. Happy birthday, by the way, but I'm 46, so I'm not much older than you. And yeah, it's taken me this long to figure it out too. So, and in another 10 years, I'll look back at now and say, oh man, I didn't know anything, I'm still learning.
Yeah. I was just talking to my wife and we went out to dinner Friday night, like as an early birthday present. It was only the four of us. It was her, myself and my two children. My son Nate's 14 and my daughter's 10. And, we had like this, such a great time that in years past, I always worried about like, what was I getting out of it? Like selfishly, like, I'd look for like every little thing, like what could have been better, what could have been better. In the last couple of years, it's more about what can I do for you? Like, what can I do to make your life easier? And that really comes into play with the real estate too, because, I always say, like, I don't want to be a used car salesman. Like, I'm looking to say, how can I be of service to you?
Right.
And that's played well. And, like, I always wonder about that. But that dinner, like, we had such a good time that, like my daughter's 10 and she admitted to us now, like, she doesn't believe in Santa Claus anymore. So, we all had like a laugh, and it was like one of those perfect nights. But I didn't think about it after I left. I remembered every single moment while I was there. And I kind of left my body and just looked at how lucky I was to be surrounded by these three people and how grateful I am to have them in my life, and how, like, there was no phones out. There was no distractions. Nobody was watching TV. There was TVs in there, but we were like really engaged. And I think a lot of it starts with me. Like, I'm more engaged than I've ever been. I'm more present than I've ever been. And I'm just thankful to have those people in my life.
Yeah. That's a beautiful place to be in right there. Yeah, good on you, man. That's what people strive for, sometimes their whole lives, you know? Yeah, congrats. Yeah, first mile sucks. So are you still doing the apparel thing as well as coaching?
Yeah, so we're still doing it. I have fmsrunning.com. You can pick up the stuff there. We'll have new shirts coming out in the coming weeks. I just the order's in. There's hoodies, zip ups, hats, regular t-shirts, running apparel, all that stuff. I love doing it. It's even if it never makes $1 million, it's, you know what? I don't have to wonder what if.
Yeah.
I did it. It's connected me with so many people. So yeah, you can still pick up a ton of apparel. Everyone that has it loves it. So it's just getting that going. I'm still doing the coaching. I'm still doing my own running. If you're looking for a house in Hilton Head, I'm there. I'm looking to add public speaking this upcoming year to it. If you don't mind, I'm doing a symposium. So I'm going to be speaking with 2 other people here about just the benefits of running at Tim Waz's shop, which is Grounded Running over in Beaufort. He's got a great shop. So I'm doing that November 11th. So I kind of have my hand in a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're kind of a hustler too. You got a lot of different irons in the fire. And honestly, nowadays, that's the way to do it. It's not like when our parents were our age and, you get one job and you hang on to that and you make it a career forever. The world doesn't quite work like that anymore.
Yeah. And, listen, I did that for a long time.
Right.
I know you did too. And the magical thing about what I'm doing now is I'm passionate about, those are things that I want to do. Mm-hmm. So it's not just going for it. It's just finding things that I like to do.
Yeah.
And trying to make that work and trying to make that part of your life.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I love it. Yeah. Same here, man. I get up early and just start mapping out the day. Are you still running pretty much every morning?
Yeah, I run, I would say I may take a day off it once every 2 weeks or so. It varies. Listen, sometimes you can get 4 or 5 miles in. Sometimes you can get 10 miles in. Sometimes you get 20 miles in. It's just, the way the schedule dictates. I try doing streak, and they never last. I always want to go run because I love to run. I don't want it to ever just be because I feel obligated to do it.
Yeah. I'm the same way with the streak, man. I've tried it before and my body just doesn't cooperate. At a certain point, something's going to break, or even mentally. So at a certain point, it's like, no, I really need a day off today, or I need to do some cross training. Like, I need a day off of running. And yeah, I'm the same way here. I would just rather go out the door for the passion of going out the door and getting it done. And yeah, that works out better. I wish I could be a streaker. I'm envious of those guys, but yeah, it's not for me.
I mean, I probably shouldn't say this as a coach. There's some days I go out the door, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm going out to just see where the road takes me.
Yeah. Do you coach yourself in a way where things are set up structurally? Are you trying to get a certain amount of mileage throughout the week when you're training for a race? Or, I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. Sometimes I'll wake up and it's like, I'll check the weather and then figure out what I'm going to do. I might go for a run. I might go for a bike ride. I might just make it a yoga day, but do you structure yourself in a certain way when you're training for something?
Yeah. I try to, and then, you follow it as best as you can. Who knows? Maybe it's worked for me so far. I'm sure I can benefit from a coach like everybody else is. So that's something I would explore. But I do have like a structured schedule and a blueprint of what I want to accomplish and how I want to get there, and what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes it takes a hit, not to cut you off. A lot of it depends on, like, doing races this year. It depends on how you're going to bounce back. Mm-hmm. I had a hard time. Sometimes you need 4 days off just to kind of regroup.
Totally. Yeah. And that comes with experience too. You have to be able to listen to your body and see what's really needed. And usually people who are looking for a coach don't quite have a grasp on that yet. And they just need a little bit of structure there. I support that. And I think it's awesome. But after you've been coached or you've been running for maybe a couple, 2-3 years, you start to get to know how the body's feeling. If you wake up and you're dead ass tired and you just are dreading going out the door, maybe that should be a rest day, or maybe that should be a yoga day. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I always tell people, like, it's not a dictatorship. This is a partnership. If something's not working, you got to, call me and be like, hey, this is not working, or I don't feel like going today, or I need a couple of days off. And it's no good if you're not happy.
Yeah, totally. Cool, man. And so you're still putting a lot of time and energy into, are you doing more of the coaching or more of the apparel, or where are you at with it these days?
I would say I'm doing more of the apparel.
Okay, cool.
To be fair, it's just the way clients come and go. You lose some, you gain some. That's the cycle I'm in right now. It doesn't mean it's going to be permanent, but that's just the way things are shaking out right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm passionate about both, but the apparel seems to take up more time and trying to design stuff and come up with something fresh and something new all the time. And, I think ideally at the end of the day, I would like to do both of those. But what I really, really, really love doing is just talking to people.
Yeah.
And speaking to people. And that helps with the coaching too. And if I can figure out how to use everything and add a platform of public speaking, that would be what I would really love to do.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I got to ask, you mentioned the Grateful Dead. Do you listen to the Dead when you're running?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No. I don't know why. Once in a while I will. Yeah. It's I'm all over the place. I've been listening to a lot of Fish because I'm a Fish head too, okay. and they're on tour right now. So I went to a bunch of shows in the summer. I listen to some Dead when I run. A lot of Fish, a lot of podcasts, and then sometimes listen. It's like it ranges. If like I was dead tired the other day, I had to throw some Jay-Z on, nice. And it got me going. In a single run, a long run, I can listen to a podcast, Jay-Z, Metallica, and Fish. So I'm all over the map with that.
Nice. That's
Do you listen or no?
Yeah, for sure. Well, no, I'm not a huge Grateful Dead guy, but over the last couple of years, I've really kind of gotten into them a lot more. And so, yeah, when I was growing up, I was more into like the punk rock scene, and the Grateful Dead. I respected them as musicians, but I just didn't really feel it. Right. I just didn't really get it. But now I'm really starting to feel it, and I'm listening to them when I'm running, and I feel like it's really good running music. But yeah, no, same with me, man. I'm all over the place with what I listen to, and I have a race day only playlist that I use, and I don't use it until like the last third of the race. So like these are the major pump up songs that I'm bringing in, when things are falling apart. So like if I'm doing, say, 100-mile race, I'll start out probably listening to nothing, just chatting with people, having a good time. And then when the race starts to thin out a little bit, then I'll start listening to like an audiobook or a podcast. And then the last third of the race or so is my super pump up music. And yeah, it's just like Jay-Z and a lot of trashy hip hop. And that's the stuff that keeps me moving, man. So
yeah, I'm the same. You know what? You mentioned punk. All fairness, I should have thrown in. I'm a big Bad Religion guy too. So I'll definitely throw some Bad Religion in.
Yep.
But yeah, I almost have the same thing. Like you said, I always start off slow, chatting, and then, by the end of the race, all bets are off. It could be anything.
I'll be out there listening to Taylor Swift, singing along all by myself in the mountains.
Whatever gets the job done, right?
Whatever gets it done. Actually, I don't even know one Taylor Swift song, but you mentioned a couple races that you're signed up for. Like, I'm curious, like, where do you see yourself, like maybe 3 or 5 years down the road? Like, are you looking at big races for yourself, like goal races, or are you thinking more entrepreneurial, like looking at your business, or where do you want to take this 3-5 years down the road?
Oh man, can I take all the above?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, obviously, I'd love to see the business flourish. I always want to see you do better. I'm going to constantly drive. I'm going to constantly push to get that apparel out there. As far as races go, same thing in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, I definitely have races I absolutely want to do. I know you've accomplished a ton of yourself. So obviously, like everybody else, Western States would be a goal of mine. Just to get out there, the fact that it just has that mystique about it. You have to get out there. I'd love to. My wife's not going to love hearing this, but I definitely want to tackle a 200 miler.
Nice.
Out there. So that would be in my future. And then just see what comes. I'd like to. It's tough. And people have done it. I've seen people do it now. Like, in a perfect world, I'd love to get out there for Hard Rock or Leadville, and you have to figure out a way to train for it and do it properly. It's not uncommon for me to go for a 30-mile run here and have less than 100 feet of elevation.
Really?
Yeah. So, I know other people have done it. Listen, Pat Reagan lives in Savannah. He's done it. So Western States would definitely be out there. If you ask me my top three, it would probably be Western States, Leadville, and a 200 miler.
Nice.
And I think I have 200 miles in me.
Oh, of course you do. Yeah. Same here, man. I've been wanting to do one for a long time, and I was signed up for one this last year and got injured, and I'm suffering with this plantar fasciitis I'm trying to work through now. But I just recently signed up for Cocodona, and same here, man. I didn't tell my wife about it for about 5 or 6 days after I signed up. And then I'm like, but I caught her in a good mood. Oh, by the way, I signed up for Cocodona. And she's like, oh, you do your thing, man. That's cool. So
I should mention UTMB as well, just to get out there. I mean, it's out there. So will you bring are you going to have your wife crewing, or are you bringing the van out to crew you?
Oh, probably both, man. We'll have the van out there. She'll be crewing. And at that point, we will have probably picked up a couple more people. But, I mean, it's funny. Like, I just talked to Natalie Bickers, who finished the race with 2 seconds to spare. Moab 240, I guess, not Coca-Cola.
I seen that. That's crazy, dude.
Crazy. 2 seconds to spare. And she did the whole thing without crew and pacers. And when I hear that, I'm just like, that sounds pretty badass, Oof. I know, man. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love sharing that time with other people and friends and family out there, but there's something that sort of draws me into just doing the long, hard stuff by yourself. I dig that too. So yeah, we'll see.
And I got to ask you, just out of my own curiosity, the last time we talked, are you still looking at Nolan's?
Oh, big time. I don't really have a date set or anything like that. I mean, I'm still looking at it for sure. And people have been reaching out to me now to see if I could help crew them through it, since I know the course pretty well. And that's one of those things that's on the bucket list. I guess if I'm doing 2 200s next summer, Nolan's probably isn't happening.
Are you doing 2 next year?
Yeah. Well, that's
what's the second one?
And the second one is Sangre de Cristo, which I was signed up for last year and then put it to this year because of my injury. So yeah, technically I'm signed up for 2 of them next year. So we'll see if I can get this foot healed up in the meantime.
Yeah, I think, it's funny, as my kids get older too. As I mentioned, my son is 14. So, he's a freshman now as he goes away to college, hopefully. And that opens up some doors of freedom as well, just to go explore in some more races.
For sure. Well, dude, if you come out to Colorado, you definitely better look me up. I would highly suggest trying to get into Leadville, man. I mean, it's a super tough race, but it's not as hard to get into as Western States. It's a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, where you live, it's flat as a pancake. So you're gonna be like doing repeats on bridges and up and down stairs and stuff, but yeah, I would highly suggest it. And you got us to crew for you if you do come out too. So.
No, definitely. I mean, I spend so much time on YouTube watching the races and you see all these big races out West and you can't help but not want to go. I mean, even like you mentioned Moab, there was one picture on Instagram where it was somebody with, I think it was two people standing there with headlamps, and then you saw that sky in Utah.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, we have some good stars down here, but nothing like that. That was, it's just, it's beautiful. So there's always so many races that you want to do.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to narrow it down.
But if I'm still running in 5 years, that means something's good, at least. If you're still doing it, 100 miles, which I think I will be.
Yeah, yeah. Body's still good, still holding up. You're still healthy. Yeah, I don't see why you can't be running in 3 to 5 years. For sure. I mean, do you look at running like something I want to do long term? Are you thinking about it like in 10 years, I still want to be running, even if it's just 3 or 4 miles a day, just for mental health? Yeah.
100%. I mean, that's one of those things, like, even, you look at somebody like AJW, he's in his mid 50s now. He's running. The guy I mentioned that I run down with, Ronald Vargas, is, in his mid 50s, and he's just beat me again at the 12-hour. I keep coming in second to him. I think I've come in second to him 2 or 3 times. So in 10 years, listen, this is part of who I am now. Yes. The running, like, there's certain staples in my life that are, important. And it for me, it goes like family, mental well-being, and running. Like, those are my three non-negotiables, as Jesse Itzler would say. So it's part of who I am. It's opened up this world to me, and I don't see any reason why. Like, I want to be that guy who's 90 and getting, dragging himself down the course. Like, I'm that stupid, I'm that stubborn bastard you're gonna have to hide my running shoes to get me to stop. And I feel like I have a lot of things, like, I'm knock on wood, I've been lucky injury wise. I feel like there's some things that help me. I'm not a big guy. As I said last time, when I started running, I think I was 195 at the time. I'm 145 right now. I might be like 5'7", 5'8". So there's not that much stress on my body. Yep. I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. Like, I feel like you can't stop me. I hope I'm still there when my plan is to always keep running.
Yeah. Same here, man. Every year I feel like I'm just getting a little bit more fit than I was the year before. And I'm no spring chicken. So just keep this thing going, man. It's awesome. Where can people find you, man? I know you got your website.
Yeah. So I'm at fmsrunning.com. On Instagram, you can find me at fmsrunning. And then I'm on Facebook at FMS Running, but definitely Instagram is your best bet. And on the website at FMS Running.
Awesome.
.com, I should say.
Yeah. Ron, just keep doing what you're doing, man. I love it. I'm watching from afar and cheering you on. And if you're doing like 300s in a year, man, I mean, you're giving us plenty to watch. So keep it up, man. I love it. And first mile sucks. I'm sure a lot of people have said this. It's the coolest saying ever. First mile sucks. It does. It sucks for everybody. After you get past that first mile, it's better. And I just love seeing that across t-shirts and hats and sweatshirts. And it's really cool.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's true. Like, every day you go out, it doesn't matter how long you run, that first mile still sucks. So, thank you for having me on again. I'm so grateful. I'm so honored. Thank you for everyone that's bought apparel. If you haven't, please check me out. I'd love to connect with you, and that's it, man. I'm just thankful. I'm the luckiest guy. I'm just so happy.
That's beautiful. That's it right there. All right. Well, stay in that place of gratitude, man, because it's a powerful place. And I'm just starting to learn that, like we mentioned, 46 years old, and I'm just starting to figure this thing out. So keep it up, dude.
Yeah, that's it. Now I have to live till I'm 100. I just wasted 45 years. Now I got to use all my wisdom in the next 55.
I hope you eat good. All right, brother. Stay in touch, man. Good talking with you.
Great. Thanks. And I look forward to coming out to Colorado and seeing you.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, dude. Take care, man.
Thanks,
brother.